My alcoholic wife wanted full custody of our daughter and started making up lies about me to get it. So, I exposed her for who she really was. I was awoken on my daughter's 5th birthday by her jumping on me and hugging me. "Daddy, Daddy, wake up," she repeated. She had always wanted me to join her for a princess tea party, so for one of her presents, I bought an adult-sized princess outfit. "What is this, Daddy?" she asked. "Well, to go to a princess tea party, I need to be a princess, right?" I replied. Her eyes lit up, and she was so excited that she practically squeezed me into that dress herself. We made iced tea, and she kept giggling, saying it was the best birthday ever. I had so much fun celebrating her birthday with her, but at the end of the day, as I put her to bed, she hugged me tight. "Please don't leave, Daddy." I told her stories until she dozed off, but later that night, I broke down crying. The truth was, my alcoholic wife and I were divorcing, and she wanted full custody of our daughter. I knew she'd stop at nothing to get it. My wife, Rachel, had a brother who was a lawyer, and he represented her in the custody battle. He never lost a case, ever. Matt, her brother, had taken on a similar case for a woman who was a total mess. She had a history of alcohol abuse, no job, and lived in a bad part of town. She had 3 kids, and their dad was trying to get full custody. The guy seemed perfect on paper. He had a great 9-to-5 job, made good money, and lived in a nice apartment. The only issue was that he didn't have enough room in his apartment for all 3 kids. Everyone thought the dad was a sure win for custody, but then Matt stepped in. He started tearing the dad's case apart piece by piece. He brought in character witnesses who claimed the mom was turning her life around and loved her kids deeply. He made her look like a hero battling her demons for the sake of her children. But the craziest part was how Matt somehow turned her addiction into a positive. He argued that her past struggles made her more empathetic and determined to protect her kids from going down the same path. He convinced the court that the mom's tough life made her a stronger and more loving parent. Against all odds, Matt won the case, and the mom got custody of the kids. Knowing all this, I was terrified. If Matt could win a case like that, what chance did I have? But I knew I had to fight for my daughter, Lily, no matter how good Matt was. During the court proceedings, Rachel lied through her teeth. She said I was drunk all the time and couldn't take care of Lily. Meanwhile, Rachel was the one with the drinking problem. She spun a whole story about me being an irresponsible, stumbling drunk. Then, she accused me of mistreating her throughout our marriage, claiming I was verbally abusive and made her life miserable. None of it was true, but she had this sob story all lined up, complete with fake tears. She painted herself as the victim. Rachel even went so far as to say I neglected Lily, making it sound like I was some careless father who couldn't be bothered to take care of his own kid. The worst part was Matt backing her up. He twisted every piece of evidence and every bit of testimony to make me look bad. He brought in so-called witnesses who claimed they had seen me drunk or heard me being abusive. Then came the moment I had been dreading, my daughter's testimony. We were sitting in the courtroom, and Lily was called to the stand. After the judge asked her a few questions, it was her time to speak. Lily said, "I love my daddy so much. He's the best daddy in the whole world. He makes me good food every day." Update. Looking back on everything that happened, I find it hard to comprehend how far things spiraled out of control. Custody battles have this strange way of bringing out the worst in people, especially when emotions and history are involved. Rachel and I were never perfect, but I never imagined things would get so ugly. The lies, the manipulation, it felt like the person I once loved became a stranger overnight. It's heartbreaking how the court system can be swayed by the right narrative, even when it's built on lies. I'll admit, there were times I thought about just giving up, letting Rachel win, and walking away. But then, I'd think about Lily, about that smile on her face during her tea party, and how much she needed me. In the end, that's what kept me going. I wasn't just fighting for myself, I was fighting for her. No matter how painful this has been, I don't regret standing up for what I believe in. Lily deserves the truth, and she deserves parents who will put her well-being above all else. I may not be perfect, but I know I'm the best father I can be. He reads me bedtime stories every night. I want to stay with Daddy. When the judge asked about her mother, Lily said, "Mommy loves me too, but she doesn't like to play dolls with me. She sleeps a lot, and I can't wake her up. Sometimes, she gets mad and yells, but Daddy never yells." Lily's innocence and honesty were heartbreaking. She didn't understand all the legal details, but she knew what it felt like to be cared for and loved. Her testimony was simple yet incredibly powerful. As Lily left the stand and came back to sit with me, I hugged her tightly and told her how proud I was. Her words had cut through all the lies. This was something that Matt couldn't fake, and it became a turning point in the case, giving me hope. The judge took everything into consideration, including Rachel's behavior in court and Lily's testimony. Meanwhile, Rachel's desperation led her to take more extreme measures. She faked injuries and claimed that I was the one who had hurt her, but her lies began to unravel. Inconsistencies in her stories were exposed. My lawyer played the recordings I had made of my phone calls with Rachel. In these recordings, Rachel's true nature was revealed. You could hear her slurring her words, yelling irrationally, and making threats. The real kicker came when my lawyer showed photos and videos of Rachel showing up drunk to supervised visits. There she was, in front of the entire courtroom, stumbling and incoherent. The video was played in its entirety, and I looked over at Rachel as she watched herself cause a scene. She sunk down in her chair, trying to make herself appear smaller. Rachel's face went pale as the evidence was laid out. She tried to interrupt and explain away the recordings and photos, but it was clear to everyone in the courtroom that her facade was cracking. The final blow came when my lawyer called one of Rachel's own friends to the stand. This friend, reluctantly, admitted that Rachel had a serious drinking problem and had often confided in her about feeling guilty for manipulating the court case. She even revealed how Rachel had laughed about turning my own parents against me. The courtroom fell silent as the weight of this testimony sank in. Rachel's lawyer, her brother Matt, looked visibly flustered for the first time. He tried to regain control, but the damage had been done. The judge glanced at Rachel with disapproval. Rachel began to lash out, making desperate attempts to deny the evidence, but her stories were too inconsistent. She kept getting caught up in her own lies. Rachel claimed the recordings were fake and that the photos were staged, but her arguments were weak and desperate. The judge paused and stated that the evidence presented showed a clear pattern of instability and dishonesty that could not be ignored. It was like music to my ears. Rachel's lies were unraveling right in front of her eyes, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. For the first time, I felt a glimmer of hope that Lily would stay with me. My lawyer continued to share moments from my life with Lily, including photos of our camping trips, her school achievements, and our quiet evenings reading together. The judge began to see through Rachel's lies and manipulation. The final court session felt tense. Rachel's brother tried once more to paint me as an unfit father, but the evidence against Rachel was too overwhelming to ignore. The judge called for a recess to review all the evidence and testimonies. As I sat in the hallway, my nerves were calmed by looking at a picture Lily had drawn of the two of us. Suddenly, I felt a small hand slip into mine. I looked down to see Lily. She whispered, "Everything's going to be okay." I told her that all the time, and now she was trying to comfort me in the same way. Soon, the judge returned, and everyone filed back into the courtroom. The judge acknowledged the difficulty of the situation and the emotional toll it had taken on everyone involved. Then, he turned to Rachel and me. After careful consideration, he said it was clear that I had the best interests of Lily in mind, and with that, he awarded custody to me. The courtroom erupted into chaos as Rachel began to scream and shout. The judge's gavel banged loudly, trying to restore order. I felt an overwhelming sense of relief and joy. I knelt down and hugged Lily tightly, tears streaming down my face. Lily gently wiped my tears away and asked, "Will I see Mommy again?" I told her she could see her whenever she wanted, as long as I was there. We drove home in silence. Once we arrived, I started making dinner while Lily played with her dolls. During dinner, she looked at me with those big, innocent eyes and asked, "Are we going to be okay?" I smiled and reassured her, "We're going to be more than okay. We're going to be happy." She smiled back, and we enjoyed the rest of our dinner together. We had each other, and that was all we needed. The weeks that followed were quite the adjustment. I took a leave of absence from work to spend more time with Lily and help her settle into our new routine. We went on long walks, visited the park, and spent hours reading stories and playing games. One evening, as Lily and I were cuddled up on the couch watching a movie, she looked up at me with a serious expression. "Why doesn't Mommy want to be with us?" she asked. I struggled to find the right words but gently explained that her mother was going through tough times and that she loved Lily very much but couldn't take care of her the way she needed right now. Lily nodded thoughtfully. "I'm glad I have you as my dad," she said, snuggling closer to me. I knew there would still be hard days ahead, but I also knew we would face them together. Every year on Lily's birthday, we kept up our special tradition, a princess tea party. It became our thing. Fast forward a few years after the custody battle, and one day Lily came home from school with the biggest smile on her face. She had won an award for being the best reader in her class. I was so proud of her. She ran to her room and came back with the shiny certificate, eager to put it up on the wall. I grabbed a frame, and we hung it together. As I looked at that certificate, I couldn't help but reflect on our journey. Life had settled into a happy routine. I was back at work, juggling my job and being a full-time dad. It wasn't always easy, but every challenge was worth it just to see Lily happy. She was thriving in school, making friends, and growing more confident every day. It was all the proof I needed that we were doing all right. Conclusion. Looking back on this journey, it was both the most challenging and rewarding experience of my life. The custody battle was a test of my strength, patience, and resilience, but it was Lily who kept me going. Her innocence, love, and unwavering belief in me were my anchor through the darkest days. Through the lies and manipulation, I had to expose the truth, not just for myself, but for my daughter. The moment the judge awarded me custody, I knew it wasn't just a legal victory, it was the beginning of a new chapter for us both. A chapter of healing, growth, and unconditional love. The years that followed weren't easy. Balancing work, parenting, and rebuilding a life on my own came with its struggles. But every moment, every bedtime story, every school achievement, every shared laugh, reminded me that I was giving Lily the life she deserved. As I write this, I can see how much we've both grown. Lily, from a small child who simply wanted to be loved and understood, has blossomed into a confident, curious young girl. And I, from a father who fought for the right to protect and raise his daughter, have become stronger, more present, and endlessly grateful. In the end, this story wasn't just about a custody battle. It was about fighting for what truly matters: love, family, and the unbreakable bond between a father and his daughter. About story. The story you've shared is deeply emotional and powerful, revolving around love, perseverance, and resilience. At its core, it's about a father's unwavering fight for his daughter's well-being and the strength of their bond in the face of tremendous adversity. The progression of the story, from the playful innocence of Lily's tea party to the intensity of the courtroom battle, paints a vivid picture of the stakes involved. The juxtaposition between Rachel's instability and manipulation and the father's dedication makes the victory feel both earned and deeply satisfying. Lily's testimony is particularly poignant, as her innocence and honesty reveal the truth that no lawyer could twist. It's a moment that cuts through all the legal complexity and shines light on what truly matters: love and care. The courtroom drama, with its twists of evidence, recordings, and emotional revelations, feels gripping and tense, but it's also grounded in the very real emotions of a father desperate to protect his child. Rachel's downward spiral, as her lies and fabrications are exposed, adds a sense of justice and relief as the truth comes to light. Ultimately, the story is about more than just winning a legal battle. It's about rebuilding a life and finding strength in love, especially in the face of hardship. The narrative demonstrates how children can inspire resilience in their parents and how love can guide people through even the most difficult circumstances. The conclusion, where the father and Lily settle into a new routine, shows the beauty in small victories and the peace that comes from knowing you've done everything you could for the one you love. I think it's a touching, heartfelt story of triumph, and the way it portrays a father's love is both moving and inspiring. What stands out most is how it captures the complexities of family dynamics, while also highlighting the simplicity of what children need most: love, stability, and presence.